Welcome to a journey into the profound world of Buddhism. Today we dive into the concept of no owner, adana, in Buddhism. In the vast expanse of Buddhist teachings, no owner stands as a fundamental principle. It's a concept that challenges our understanding of ownership and possession, inviting us to explore a deeper, more spiritual perspective on life. The idea of no owner captures the essence of non-attachment, reminding us of the transient nature of all things in this world. It encourages us to let go of our rigid notions of possession and instead embrace the fluidity and impermanence of existence. This concept serves as a lighthouse guiding us towards a more mindful and enlightened way of living. So are you ready to delve into the depths of this intriguing Buddhist concept? Hold on tight, here we go. Firstly, let's understand what we mean by no owner. This intriguing concept within Buddhism, known as adana, suggests that there is no inherent or permanent owner in any experience. It's akin to the idea that there's no one driving the car of life, yet it moves along the path, making turns, stopping and starting, all seemingly on its own. To make sense of this, let's use a simple metaphor. Picture a river flowing. It moves, it changes, it interacts with its environment, but there's no single entity that owns or controls it. The river just is. It's the same with our experiences. They're like the river, flowing and changing, but without anyone at the helm. This concept is closely tied to the Buddhist teachings of non-attachment and impermanence. Non-attachment, or anatta, suggests that we shouldn't cling to things, experiences, or even our own identities, as they are all transient and subject to change. Impermanence, or anicca, is the idea that everything is in a state of constant flux. Nothing remains the same. The no-owner concept, then, is a natural extension of these beliefs. If everything is impermanent and we shouldn't cling to anything, then it follows that there's no inherent owner in any experience. Think about the emotions you feel, the thoughts you think, the experiences you have. According to no owner, these aren't yours. They're simply phenomena that arise and pass away, just like the flowing river. This might sound a bit surreal, but it's a powerful perspective that can liberate us from a lot of suffering. By realizing that we're not the owners of our experiences, we can let go of the desire to control them, which often leads to stress and dissatisfaction. Now that we've grasped what no owner signifies, we can delve deeper into its implications. Understanding no owner transforms how we perceive the world around us. You see, this principle is a profound shift in perspective. It's like stepping away from a painting you've been staring at too closely. Suddenly, you can see the whole picture, and it's more beautiful and complex than you could have imagined. When we embrace no owner, we begin to see that everything in our world, from the relationships we hold dear to the possessions we cling to, is not truly ours. These things are transient, changing, and ultimately beyond our control. And yet we spend so much of our lives trying to grasp onto them, to claim ownership. But what happens when we let go of this desire to own, to control? Well, we start to experience a sense of detachment. Now, this isn't about becoming cold or unfeeling, quite the opposite. Detachment in the Buddhist sense is a compassionate disengagement, a way of loving and caring without clinging. It's about experiencing life fully and deeply, but without the unnecessary suffering that comes from attachment. And as we cultivate this detachment, we find that our suffering begins to diminish. We're no longer tossed around by the ups and downs of life. Instead, we can remain steady, peaceful, and content, no matter what comes our way. This is the peace that no owner can bring. Also, let's consider our relationships. By understanding that we don't truly own the people in our lives, we can love them more freely. We can appreciate them for who they are, rather than trying to mold them into who we want them to be. This leads to deeper, more authentic connections. Lastly, no owner affects our relationship with possessions. When we stop seeing things as mine, we can enjoy them without fear of loss. We can experience the joy of a beautiful sunset, a delicious meal, or a cozy home, without the anxiety that comes from clinging to these experiences. With no owner in mind, we start to see the world in a different light, don't we? We see it as it truly is, a constantly changing, beautifully complex, and deeply interconnected tapestry of experiences. And in this realization, we find a profound sense of peace and contentment. But how do we implement this concept of no owner in our everyday lives? Well, the first step is mindfulness. Mindfulness is the practice of being fully present and engaged in the current moment. It's about noticing our thoughts, feelings, and surroundings without judgment. By practicing mindfulness, we can start to see the transient nature of all things, including our own thoughts and feelings. This helps us to realize that we don't truly own anything, not even our own experiences. Another way to incorporate no owner into our lives is by changing our attitudes towards our possessions. Instead of clinging to material goods as if they were extensions of ourselves, we can see them as temporary tools that we use and enjoy. This doesn't mean we shouldn't care for our belongings or that we should live in poverty. Rather, it's about understanding that these possessions aren't truly ours, but are merely borrowed from the universe for a fleeting moment in time. The same principle applies to our relationships. We often think of our loved ones as ours, our partner, our children, our friends, but in reality, every person is their own individual, with their own path in life. We can love and cherish our relationships without clinging to them, realizing that everyone we know is a fellow traveler on this journey. We can also use the concept of no owner to cope with difficult emotions. Instead of identifying with our feelings and saying, "I'm angry" or "I'm sad," we can acknowledge these emotions as temporary states that pass through us. This can help us to maintain a sense of calm and balance, even in the face of adversity. Lastly, no owner can be a guide to ethical action. When we realize that we don't truly own anything, we may feel a greater sense of responsibility towards the world around us. We're less likely to exploit resources or harm others for our own gain, and more likely to act with kindness and compassion. As we can see, no owner is not just a theory, but a practical guide for living a more peaceful and contented life. So what benefits does understanding no owner bring to our lives? Well, the concept of no owner, or adana in Buddhism, isn't just an abstract philosophical idea. It's a practical tool that can bring tangible benefits to our everyday lives. Firstly, understanding no owner can greatly reduce stress. In a world where we're often pushed to accumulate possessions, status, and achievements, the pressure can be overwhelming. We're constantly striving, reaching, and worrying about what we have and what we don't have. But when we grasp the concept of no owner, we realize that these things don't truly belong to us. They're transient, just like everything else in life. This understanding can help us let go of our attachments and reduce the stress that comes with clinging and craving. Secondly, no owner can bring us greater peace of mind. When we see that we don't truly own anything, not even our bodies or our thoughts, we can start to let go of fears and anxieties. We're no longer so afraid of losing what we have because we know that we never truly had it in the first place. This can bring us a deep sense of peace and tranquility. Finally, understanding no owner can lead to a more balanced and contented life. When we stop clinging to possessions, achievements, and even our own self-image, we create space for other things. We have more time and energy for relationships, for creativity, for helping others, and for simply being present in the moment. We can find a deeper sense of contentment in the simple things, rather than constantly striving for more. But this isn't about rejecting the world or living in denial. It's about seeing things as they really are, with clarity and wisdom. It's about finding a middle way between attachment and rejection, between craving and aversion. Understanding no owner can help us navigate this middle way, bringing balance and harmony to our lives. Indeed, the concept of no owner can be a powerful tool for personal growth and happiness. And there you have it, the profound concept of no owner in Buddhism. This philosophy, simple yet deep, invites us to look beyond the illusion of ownership, to understand that nothing is truly ours, not even our thoughts, feelings, or actions. It's a liberating perception that can free us from the chains of attachment and suffering. We've explored its meaning, implications, and the practical ways to integrate it into our lives. We've also touched upon the benefits that come with this understanding, a sense of serenity, a detachment from materialistic pursuits, and a deeper connection with our true selves and the world around us. Grasping no owner is not a one-time event, but a journey, a continuous process of learning and unlearning. It is a path that leads us to peace and contentment, a path that is open to all, regardless of faith or belief system. Thank you for joining us on this enlightening journey. Remember, no owner is not just a Buddhist concept, but a path to peace and contentment. Until next time, stay curious and keep exploring.